Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am very excited to be here with you and share some information about Tennessee Achieves, both statewide and specific to Sullivan County. My name is Amy Bain, and I am the Senior Director of Post-Secondary Impact here at Tennessee Achieves. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. We do have everyone on mute. That is simply for sound quality while we're presenting. But at the end, we will have opportunity to unmute and ask questions. So if you have any questions, I ask that you either put them in the chat box and we will answer them at the end, or if you don't mind just holding on to those until the end and you'll have a chance to unmute and ask your question. But again, we are incredibly excited to be with you this morning to share more information about Tennessee Achieves, about our progress across the state and in Sullivan County. We do these periodically for a few reasons. One, we really believe our local partnerships help us be successful. It is our local community partners in the post-secondary space, in the K-12 space, our mentors, our business partners, and our local governments that really allow Tennessee Achieves to best serve students and be successful. And so we are incredibly thankful and grateful for your partnership. And again, for being here this morning. As a reminder, Tennessee Promise is a last dollar scholarship that is available to all Tennessee high school seniors who apply. And Tennessee Achieves is the partnering organization. The easiest way to remember that is we run the program that students must complete in order to receive that Tennessee Promise scholarship funding. Tennessee Achieves is a privately funded 501c3, so we partner with the state of Tennessee, but we are our own separate organization. And when we launched in Knox County in 2008, we had just under 500 students apply for the program. And now, after 13 years and expanding into 90 counties across the state, we work with more than 440,000 students and over 71,000 volunteers. It has been an honor to work at such scale, and you can see in green here the counties that we serve. And in those counties, we work with over 600 Tennessee high schools, public, private, and our homeschool umbrella organizations, as well as 67 post-secondary institutions that are Tennessee Promise eligible, meaning that they offer either a technical certificate or diploma or associate's degree program. And Tennessee Achieves, since the beginning, has had three main pillars of the organization. The first is that last dollar scholarship. It's the carrot that gets students and families interested in our program. But we know that eliminating that funding barrier is just the first step. Our students are best served by support through the program. And our biggest means of supporting students, and what we always call the heart of the program, are our volunteer mentors. Each of our students are paired with a volunteer mentor from their community who checks in with them regularly to provide guidance, encouragement, answer their questions about the college process. Our mentors are from the community that their students are from. So it is a unique relationship where our mentors understand the struggles that our students may be facing. And our students also get to know someone in their community that is on their side and wants them to be successful and help them in that process. And along with that sense of community engagement and organization and support, we want our students to also give back to their communities as well. So our Tennessee Promise students are required to complete 8 hours of community service prior to every semester that they're enrolled in college. It gives the students some skin in the game. They need to get involved in their communities and figure out how they can fill in needs there. And so with those three pillars, we have found that our students do get a lot of support, but we've also added a few programs that are addressing the needs of our students as they begin college. We've been able to provide 2 summer programs. One, our Summer Bridge program. That is a 3-week academic boot camp that we hold across the state in partnership with the community colleges. Our students are on campus in classes with other students and with college professors in English, math, and reading. And they have the opportunity to test into college level classes at the end of that 3-week program. And then in Memphis, we've introduced the Summer Institute, and that is a 10-week program that allows students who would need remediation their first semester of college to take that over the summer. They have additional training, additional tutoring and support from a Tennessee Achieves staff member and members of Southwest Tennessee Community College. And so this is a special voluntary program. Our students give up either 3 or 10 weeks of their summer to participate. And we have seen a ton of success with our students, both academically and socially, as they enter their first semester of college. We've also identified that many of our at-risk students need additional support while they're in college. And so we created the Complete Coaching Program. And we have Tennessee Achieves Complete Coaches on staff that work with at-risk students in their service areas to ensure that students are progressing and they are succeeding and they have the support and resources that they need as well. Our Complete Coaches work with their students every month to connect and have a meaningful conversation to understand the needs of the students and what additional support they may need to be successful in post-secondary. If you have been with Tennessee Achieves at all in any capacity, either as a mentor, as a parent, or one of our K-12 or post-secondary partners, you know that we love communication. We believe that targeted communication can make a difference in our students' lives. So each of our students continually receive detailed instructions and reminders for every step of the program through our Monday emails each week, through our targeted reminders close to deadlines, and through our social media accounts as well. And so we believe in coming through for students in many different ways. And again, we're able to serve students in 90 counties across Tennessee. 74 of those counties are rural and 35 are considered at risk or distressed. And again, we work with over 600 high schools, both public and private, and homeschool umbrellas. We are able to offer this scholarship in partnership with 67 colleges across the state. The most popular among our students are our community colleges. 79% of our students enroll at a community college. There are 13 across the state. 11% of our students enroll in the TCATs, the Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology. There are 27 TCATs across the state, and those are institutions where our students can get hands-on instruction in programs like welding, cosmetology, nursing, automotive mechanics, aircraft maintenance. There are dozens and dozens of really incredible hands-on programs for our students to take advantage of. Typically, they're able to complete in 12 to 18 months and then enter right into the workforce. And we are incredibly proud of our partnerships with the TCATs across the state. And 10% of our students enroll at a 4-year institution. There are several that offer associate's degree programs as well. And many of our students find that they're able to start at their 4-year institution in an associate's degree and then continue on once they've earned their associate's to complete their bachelor's. And every year with every new high school class that applies for Tennessee Promise, Tennessee Achieves works with over 60,000 high school seniors from those classes. In those 90 counties, 89% of all Tennessee high school seniors are Tennessee Achieves students. 78% of all first-time freshmen at our community colleges in Tennessee are also Tennessee Achieves students. And 86% of all of our Tennessee community college graduates are Tennessee Achieves students. We are honored to be able to work at such scope with students across the state. 56% of students are eligible for federal financial aid as determined by the FAFSA, that free application for federal student aid. That is the application that gets students in line for the federal Pell Grant, as well as some other state awards. 40% of our students tell us that they are first-generation college students. They're the first in their family to attend college. And 51% of our students are majoring in health science and STEM-related fields. And we are proud of this number, particularly because we know that there is a shortage of healthcare workers across the state. And that has been something that has been happening for quite a while, especially now with COVID. We see that there is a huge need. And so we are excited that 51% of our students are following those majors into those careers. The annual cost for the Tennessee Promise Scholarship is $32 million across the state. And working in 90 counties, we have about 30 employees across the state. We are proud that we operate on a lean budget, but it does allow us to work at scale and our annual operating cost is $2.5 million. Thinking about our impact statewide, we would be remiss if we didn't think about our local communities. Again, they are so important to student success. And so looking at Sullivan County specifically, our students file FAFSA, that free application for federal student aid, at a rate of 89%. And you can see statewide, our students are filing FAFSA at 86%. So Sullivan County is leading the way in FAFSA filing percentage. If you guys know this, if you work in post-secondary, if you have kids, if you remember filing the FAFSA, that can be a cumbersome application, and it can be something that is very intimidating to our students and families. And so we are excited to be able to provide support for that. To put this in perspective, most states across the country aim for a 50% FAFSA file rate every year. Tennessee Achieves has been able to help Tennessee lead the country in FAFSA filing rate every year. So we are incredibly proud of this number. And again, our students have to complete 8 hours of community service for every semester that they're enrolled in college. And statewide, you can see more than 3.3 million hours of community service have been completed in all of our communities. In Sullivan County specifically, 73,162 community service hours have been completed since inception. And we are incredibly proud of that and humbled by that number, knowing that our students are making that kind of impact in their community. And again, because community support is so important, we can look and see the progress that our Sullivan County students are making. Of the 60,676 applicants for Tennessee Promise, 1,439 of those come from Sullivan County. And of that 1,438, 520 students are enrolled in the fall with Tennessee Promise. 68% of our students retain from their first year in Sullivan County. And you can see that our statewide retention, first year retention, is 67%. So Sullivan County is ahead of the curve with the state first year retention rate. We also see Sullivan County's 3-year graduation rate is 39% compared to 35% across the state. And while we know that those numbers do seem low, in comparison, the statewide 3-year graduation rate is about 14%. So while Tennessee Achieves students are graduating at a rate higher than the rest of the state, we do recognize that this is an area where we can continue to make progress. We can examine our programs, we can examine the services that we offer to see if we can help students become more successful in not only retaining, but completing to their degree. But looking at this, when we think about Tennessee Achieves outcomes and the progress that our students make with our program, we can see in first year retention, the normal rate for first-time, full-time college freshmen at community colleges is 53%, whereas 67% of Tennessee Achieves students at our Tennessee Promise eligible institutions retain their first year. And 74% of Tennessee Achieves students at any college retain their first year. That first year retention is so important. We know that if they can make it through their first year and come back their second year, they are much more likely to complete their degree and either go on to a higher degree or join the workforce. And so we are incredibly excited to see those numbers. Our 6-year graduation rate compared to first-time, full-time freshmen at community colleges across the state is 35%, but Tennessee Achieves students at community colleges are completing at 51% for their 6-year graduation rate. Again, the proof that our programs are working, but there is still room to grow. And when you look on the right of this slide, you can see the programming impact on our student outcomes for those programs that I mentioned earlier. Students who participate in our summer programs, either our Summer Bridge program or our Summer Institute, are 30% more likely to retain their first year than students who don't participate. And of our students who participate in the complete coaching program, they are 23% more likely to retain their first year. Knox Promise is a program we haven't talked about yet, but we have been pleased to be able to pilot this in Knox County for the last 2 years. We had a generous donation for Knox County students to receive additional coaching, whether they are at risk or not. They have a dedicated Knox Promise coach on our Tennessee Achieves staff to connect with them regularly to make sure that they're successful and they have the resources that they need to complete. On top of that coaching, we have been able to provide emergency grants or complete grants. And those are funding grants that students can request for things like supplies, books, transportation costs. Many of our students experience food insecurity. They may need help with rent. And so those are those barriers that often cause students to stop attending college or decide not to attend. With Knox Promise, we've been able to bridge that gap financially for students, as well as provide that support. And we have found that by participating in Knox Promise, our students are 42% more likely to retain their first year. We're excited by these numbers. And we're hoping that these emergency grants are something that we can bring statewide to all students. If you look here, you can see our Tennessee college going rate across the state over the years was gradually rising. You can see there is a large jump in 2015, and that was with the introduction of Tennessee Promise statewide. And we did see some growth, some slow decline, and then in 2020, there was a huge drop in our college going rate. We know that COVID did really affect a lot of our students and their ability to enroll that first semester after they graduated. And looking specifically at Sullivan County, we can see that in 2019, the college going rate was 71.8%, whereas in 2020, it dropped to 62.5%. And this is another area where, as Tennessee Achieves, we are focusing on bringing those numbers back up. How can we meet students where they're at and provide the support that they need so that they feel comfortable enrolling in college and that they have the resources they need to be successful? One of the ways that we can do that is through our mentoring program. Our mentors, again, as I mentioned before, serve three roles: as a task manager, reminding our students of their deadlines, of the critical things that they need to complete to not only remain eligible for the Tennessee Promise Scholarship, but enroll in college. Our mentors also serve as a resource, being able to answer questions or help them find answers to the questions that they may have about the process. And third, our mentors act as an encourager. You are another person coming alongside of them saying, I believe in you. You can do this. I'm here to help you. And so our mentoring program is so vital, working with students from the end of their senior year of high school through summer and then their first year of college. We always tell people that it takes about 12 hours annually, about an hour a month, to serve as a mentor with Tennessee Achieves. We ask that our mentors call, text, and email our students every other week to check in, to remind them of deadlines, to be that encouragement and that resource. If you mentored with us in 2021, you know that we introduced the Tennessee Achieves Connect platform, a virtual platform that allowed mentors and students to meet via video chat. It also allowed mentors and students to connect direct message in a direct message system. And it also allowed our mentors to track their student progress through the program in a way that has not been available in the past. And so we are continuing to use Tennessee Achieves Connect, to facilitate the virtual meeting with our mentors and students. We will also have opportunities for our mentors and students to meet in person. If you are interested in becoming a mentor, or if you know someone who would be interested in becoming a mentor, you can visit tnAchieves.org/mentors and apply by December 3rd. In Sullivan County, we need 218 mentors to work with the senior class of 2022. If you are already mentoring with us, returning is simple. You can complete the renewal application on our website, or simply let us know that you want to return. You can email me. I'll provide my contact information here in a second. You can respond to any of the emails or texts that we have sent you over the past year, or let anyone on our staff know that you're interested in returning. And we will get you signed up for this year, and we'll also provide a 30-minute refresher training for you, so that you're up to date on all of the things that you need to know for the class of 2022. If you have never mentored with us before, we ask that you fill out a new mentor application on our website, and then we will provide a 1-hour mentor training with you virtually, again, to let you know about the program, to give you all the resources that you need to be a successful mentor. And after looking at all of these numbers, thinking about our impact and the work we still have to do statewide and in Sullivan County, it's easy to sit and think, what are the next steps? What can I do next? And we have very easy ways that we can connect with our students and that we can ask Sullivan County to step up and to connect with students as well. And so obviously the easiest way is to become a mentor. Like I said, you can visit our website and apply, or let us know that you would like to return and help connect Tennessee Achieves to your community. We are always happy to come and speak to any community groups or organizations. If you think that your coworkers would be interested in this, if you're in a community organization, a church, any type of group that you think would be interested in hearing more about Tennessee Achieves and serving as mentors, please let us know. We are always happy to share our story with you and with others in your community. You can email mentors@tnAchieves.org and we can arrange that meeting. And then we ask you just to tell friends about Tennessee Promise. If you don't know someone who is a high school senior, you may know someone that has a high school senior. And so that Tennessee Promise application for students is open now, and the application deadline is November 1st. And so we ask that you share this opportunity with students in your sphere of influence, and so they know that they can apply to Tennessee Promise and be part of this program. This is my contact information. And in just a minute, I'm going to open it up for questions. But if you think of something afterwards, or if you want to reach out to me to discuss anything, that is my cell phone number. You can call or text me. I know it's an out-of-state number, but I am in Knoxville. Or you can email me. And I just want to close with this student quote. Jahim is a student that we have talked with over this last year. And we really spent time talking to students, trying to figure out why they're going to college. What is it that gives them their motivation? And for so many of our students, like Jahim here, you can see that he'll be the first in his family to go to college. And not only does he recognize that that is a career opportunity for him, but it's also going to impact his siblings. We have many students who say that their cousins or their siblings or even their aunts or uncles were interested in going back to school because of them going to school and pursuing post-secondary. And so we believe that this work is incredibly important, and we are grateful for your partnership, and we ask that you continue to partner with us. And we appreciate you being here this morning. In the last few minutes that we have, I do want to open it up to questions. And so I do see we have one in the chat. And Nick asked, how did COVID affect graduation rates, et cetera? And that is a great question, Nick. Thank you for that. We don't know how it has affected graduation rates yet, simply because we don't have the graduation rate numbers, especially for the class of 2020. But we do know it did affect enrollment quite a bit. There were fewer students enrolling in college as first-time freshmen, and there were fewer students continuing in college. We saw less of a decline in our continuing students because of the supports that we have in place. But it did affect our enrollment, our first-time enrollment. College enrollment across the state has been down for 2020. And again, we're seeing that again for 21. So it has been a very specific challenge that we have seen. And your follow-up question, Nick, how much remote learning? So we saw that in spring 2020, when COVID really did hit and all of those initial lockdowns across the state were happening, that our high schools went virtual and so did our colleges. So for the remainder of spring 2020 and into summer 2020, it was almost all remote learning, virtual learning. There are some programs like our TCAP programs that tend to be more hands-on and in-person experiential learning, that they've had to make some adaptations to their classes to allow for social distancing and things like that, obviously. As we got into, as we're going into fall 21, and even in fall 20 or in fall 21, we're seeing that there's a hybrid. So most students are anxious to get back into classes full-time in person, but there has been a lot of remote learning happening because of COVID. And we've had to, internally with Tennessee Achieves, we have moved a lot of our in-person meetings we've moved a lot of our in-person meetings to virtual meetings. We've provided virtual community service options for our students who couldn't find in-person because of COVID, or were unsure if they felt safe going somewhere in the public and serving. And so there have been a lot of shifts across the board due to COVID? That's a great question. And Nick, you also have a follow-up question about transferring to four-year programs. So we do have a lot of students that do go and transfer to 4 years into four-year institutions after they complete their associate's degree programs. The state of Tennessee has what is called Tennessee transfer pathways. And those are agreements between the community colleges and the four-year colleges across the state, the four-year universities, where students can get on a transfer pathway. And so their classes at Northeast State would transfer and directly into that same bachelor's degree major at ETSU or UT Chattanooga or another four-year institution across the state. So those Tennessee transfer pathways are successful. And we are looking at ways that we can encourage those transfers as well for our students. We are looking at students in their second year of college to see if they're interested in transferring, and then providing those resources to help them be successful in those transfers. That's a great question. Thank you, Nick. Are there any other questions? Again, you can use the chat box or you can unmute yourself if you have any questions. All right, well, I will be mindful of time and let you all go here just a few minutes early. But thank you again for being here. Again, feel free to reach out to either myself or anyone on our staff if you do have any additional follow-up questions. We appreciate your time and your partnership, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Nick. We appreciate your support of Connect. We're glad to see that's working out well for you and for your students.